This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight now we bring you a discussion on government formation in states. The participants are Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and Vinay Kumar, journalist.
After the BJP's victory in 4 state assembly elections and Aam Aadmi Party's victory in Punjab, the focus has now shifted to government formation. Initial reports suggest that Aam Aadmi Party swearing in will take place of Bhagwant Mann, their chief ministerial face and candidate who won along with his party in a big way in Punjab, most probably on March 16. Similarly, right now, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Similarly, it seems to be a problem of plenty because in Goa, we have Pramod Sawant, who led BJP to a comfortable victory in Goa. And similarly, in Uttarakhand, Pushkar Singh Dhami, who was a chief minister of outgoing BJP government, though he lost, but he led his party to a spectacular victory by winning 47 seats. Similar story was repeated in Manipur with N. Biren Singh coming back with a comfortable position, winning 32 of 60 seats. So, Shekhar, if we look at the things as they start now, 10th March evening, we got all the results. 3 days have passed. Now, parleys and talks and discussions are being held. All eyes are on Uttar Pradesh because it is for the first time that a ruling party has come back to power. BJP has retained power in nearly 4 decades. So it's a big moment for the BJP as well. And these 2 states, Punjab and Uttar Pradesh, there is no doubt about the chief minister's face. The balancing of other factors like caste, region, gender, these may be factors in Yogi Adityanath's discussions. Let's start with UP, Shekhar. How do you think spanning out in Uttar Pradesh?
Indeed, Vinayji, this was a very spectacular performance by the BJP in Uttar Pradesh, particularly as you mentioned, after 37 years, you find a government has been brought back to power on a positive vote. The last time it happened was in 1985 when in the then undivided Uttar Pradesh, when Narendra Tiwari was again sworn in as chief minister following the Congress victory back to back. And this time, I am saying this is a positive vote because a state like Uttar Pradesh, which is very difficult to govern and administer, and where there are, plethora of issues regarding different sections of the society, in such a state for the Bharatiya Janata Party to come back with such a huge mandate is itself significant. And as you mentioned, now the parleys have started. Yogi ji is in Delhi. He is meeting the Prime Minister. He's meeting other leaders. So they will go about the task of, the government formation. And there are several things to be taken into account, as you mentioned, the different regions and caste factor. And as the Prime Minister always desires, a number of new faces will be given a chance to show their talent. So a lot of exercise will be undertaken, and it is going to take a couple of days more, I think, before they finalize everything. Similarly, you mentioned about Aam Aadmi Party's success, which is also very unique because the kind of mandate that the Aam Aadmi Party has got in Punjab is equally spectacular. And today we saw Aam Aadmi Party Chief Arvind Kejriwal and the Chief Minister designate Bhagwant Mann, undertaking a road show in Punjab, but in Amritsar rather. And the Aam Aadmi Party has done well, and particularly the decimation of the Congress as well as Akali Dal, 2 major formations, is a pointer to the earning for change in that state, which is reflected in the mandate. So there, I think the date has already been set. It is March 16th. The swearing-in ceremony is not taking place in Chandigarh, but at the birthplace, where the memorial of Shaheed Bhagat Singh has been erected. So the swearing ceremony itself will be a landmark place. And of course, government formation in Manipur and Goa, they are also on the pipeline. Manipur also, the legislature party is yet to meet or decide. But in Goa, I understand the newly elected house has been called for swearing in the newly elected MLAs. That is on March 14th. That is a Monday. So there also exercise will have to be speeded up because BJP in Goa has got 20 of the 40 seats in that state. And with the support of maybe independents, and there are talks going on with party like MGP, Maharashtra Gomantak Party, the formation of the government. There the BJP leadership has to take a call on who will be the chief minister. because the elections were fought under the name of Pramod Sawant. Whether the BJP will again bring him back or they have some other plans, or we do not know. And as similarly in Uttarakhand, also the exercise is going on where the BJP got a massive mandate, 47 out of 70, which is again a unique. In Uttarakhand too, no party has been elected back to back. So that is also a very interesting feature of this election. There again, the chief minister, Pushkar Singh Dhami lost election. So they have to also take a call on who will be the next chief minister.
And Shekhar, interestingly, you brought up this point in last 22 years. It is for the first time that same party is coming back, defeating the jinx of anti-incumbency factor in Uttarakhand. And also showed that change of chief ministers. Mr. Dhami was the third chief minister which BJP, entrusted the reins of power in Uttarakhand to him. And the way he energized the party, he led party to a very invigorating and a very, very vigorous campaign, saw the BJP through Uttarakhand, and Congress was not able to, cash in on the anti-incumbency feelings and sentiments which were said to be, making waves in Uttarakhand. But for the BJP, it's a very, very good and a very pleasant surprise coming back to power, retaining Uttarakhand. But now, several reports have said that Prime Minister may like to have a fresh face in Uttarakhand. There is also a demand to have a woman chief minister, and names of at least, half a dozen BJP hopefuls are also doing the rounds in Uttarakhand. People like Satpal Maharaj and the state BJP chief. These names are doing the rounds in Uttarakhand.
You are right, Vinayji, because this is a new result that has come, which is completely a new history has been made in Uttarakhand. And yes, Pushkar Singh Dhami took over in July, after two chief ministers had ruled in the last, 4.5 years. And after his takeover, he had brought in a lot of new energy and dynamism to the government, and it helped in the BJP winning this election. And of course, Prime Minister Modi remained the main attraction for the BJP. That is why you saw, whether it is Uttar Pradesh, whether it is Goa, or whether it is Uttarakhand, or even Manipur, the Prime Minister's personality and Prime Minister's appeal to the voters, I think, had a great impact. And in Uttarakhand in particular, the party has a challenge because normally a defeated candidate is not made a chief minister. That is general practice. So they have to do a lot of deliberation as to see who can fit the bill there. Because I think the BJP leadership does not want to repeat the pattern that had happened in 2017. They chose somebody, then they had to replace. Trivendra Singh Rawat was there for a long time, then Trinath Singh came. So you see, that kind of changes they would like to avoid. They will look for a new leadership, but at the same time, they will have to balance between the two regions, both Kumaon and Garhwal.
And Shekhar, also, you were saying that, defeated candidate is not made chief minister. It just came to my mind, Mamata Banerjee also lost from Nandigram. But quickly she was offered a, bipole, brought her back to the seat of power. But as we all know that, BJP has got its hands full. And in all these elections, assembly elections, which were dubbed as semi-finals to 2024 Lok Sabha elections, the brand Modi came up in a very, very significant way. And BJP, the top leadership, including Prime Minister Modi, BJP's chief, Mr. J.P. Nadda, Defense Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, and of course, Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who led a very tireless campaign in most of the states. Their say will matter because their stature, their personalities over the party have really strengthened in these elections. So BJP has come back with a lot more, resounding victories in these states.
Yeah, indeed. You mentioned about Mamata Banerjee's case. Mamata Banerjee had lost elections in Nandigram, but then she is the leader of that party. She is the face of that party. Therefore, whatever she decides is the rule for that party. But in established parties like BJP and even in Congress, it is very difficult to nominate a defeated candidate because one will have to consider the mood of the other party legislators also. But and definitely,
the fact that party has done well.
Yes, definitely. So therefore, it is very difficult to make a choice in circumstances for parties like the BJP. But definitely for the BJP in Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and all these states has given a momentum to the BJP because between now and 2024 Lok Sabha elections, there will be 8 assembly elections. At the end of this year, you're going to see Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh. And next year, you will see Telangana, Meghalaya, you will have Nagaland, then Tripura. And by end of the year 2023, you're going to see elections in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan. So,
Yes.
8 assembly elections will go to polls before the Lok Sabha elections of 2024. So this momentum, I think, is a very important momentum for the BJP. At the same time, for the opposition, they have go into some kind of a soul searching, as I would say, because they will have to revisit their strategy, revisit the issues that they have been flagging so far, particularly for the Congress. Congress is constantly, there has been a lot of internal debate, internal churning as to what is going wrong with the party, what is going wrong with the leadership. And you already have a group within that Congress party which is seeking a change, which wants more accountability, more involvement of the top leadership in settling some issues.
So, Shekhar, Arvind Kejriwal's Aam Aadmi Party, I think, is filling the vacuum created by the Congress. And these assembly elections have shown that decimation of Congress is almost complete. And on national political scenario, Aam Aadmi Party's voice will have a resonance.
Yeah, definitely, because you cannot ignore Aam Aadmi Party, which has caught the imagination of voters in a very important state like Punjab. And, these leaders, whether it is Mamata Banerjee or Sharad Pawar or Uddhav Thackeray or M.K. Stalin, they were not taking Aam Aadmi Party so seriously, because I don't see in any discussions they were involving Aam Aadmi Party. But now they will have to take into consideration. And also, you see this competition, the unsaid competition between leaders like Mamata Banerjee, Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao, or Sharad Pawar or Uddhav Thackeray, or even Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin. See, this unstated competition gets a new dimension, because they will have to decide on the strategy as well as who will be the face of the opposition.
If we come back to the most populous state of our country, Uttar Pradesh, there, we have 403 seats, out of which more than 270 seats have gone in the BJP's kitty. So the size of the cabinet is also large in Uttar Pradesh. So there will be a lot more new faces in Uttar Pradesh.
Their individual performance and individual problems relating to anti-incumbency will have to be taken into account. Because, one big message has come from Uttar Pradesh, which is, Vinayji, performance is the criteria and also delivery on the ground. If today Yogi ji has come back to power, it is simply because that party has been able to deliver on the ground, whether it is distribution of ration, whether it is implementing some of the important schemes like Prime Minister Awas Yojana, Jal Jeevan Mission, Ujjwal Yojana, or, supply of gas, all these things required constant monitoring and administration in Uttar Pradesh is not an easy task to goad the system to serve the people and to ensure that they get the benefits that are due to them is very important exercise. And the Prime Minister would like, Yogi ji to continue with that work so that, the thrust in the delivery is very important. Because the secret of the success, as the Prime Minister mentioned on the day the results came when he addressed the party workers at the headquarters, was this: there is no bigger secret than taking into consideration serving the poor, particularly Deen Dayal Upadhyay's, Antodaya, the person who is standing in the last man on the queue. So BJP has understood that this election result from Uttar Pradesh is a message for more delivery and better delivery, and ensuring that all the schemes that are meant for the upliftment of the poor to lessen their burden is carried out in all earnest and implemented fully.
That's correct, Shekhar. And I think after Holi, by March 19th or 20th, everywhere we will see new governments being sworn in.
The system is different in BJP, where the MLAs are engaged by the central observers. They take the views of these leaders, then they convey to the party central leadership, and then a name is chosen. Now, in the case of Manipur, since Dr. Biren Singh led the party to power, so there is not much of a difficulty in naming the chief minister. And of course, the composition has to be seen, because for the first time, BJP in Manipur has won from its traditional areas, from the valley as well as in the hills. Because, hills are generally won by the parties like NPP and NPF. But what has happened is BJP has scored success in these areas also. So Manipur is a state which has got different people with different ethnic backgrounds who will have to be accommodated in the ministry. And again, the performance will be a criteria. And it must be recalled that the Prime Minister, Modi, since 2014 has been emphasizing the importance of Northeast. Look Northeast is actually look East has also meant, giving primacy and importance to Northeast, which had remained neglected in the past.
Thank you, Shekhar, for this discussion.
Thank you, Vinayji.
You were listening to a discussion on government formation in states. The participants were Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and Vinay Kumar, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.